Alright, welcome back to the kitchen, part 2 of the stew video. Here's the taters that I'm about to cut up. I'm going to chop that end off of that bottom one there. Got it all peeled and ready. Those ceramic peelers and knife sets are really awesome, by the way. Here is what the stew looks like. It has been on for about 3 hours, just over 3 hours. A mix of high heat for the majority of that, and then I just recently turned it down to low heat now so it can finish cooking. As you can see, I've stirred it already. I don't want to open it quite yet till I get the taters ready to go in. But I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pause, cut up the taters, because I can't do it with one hand holding the camera and the other hand cutting. And when I resume, we'll go ahead and put the taters in, and I'll put in the first dose of seasonings. Okay, through the magic of pause and play, there's my cut up potatoes ready to go into the pot. Once again, I've already stirred this once, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up and try to minimize the amount of time I have this open. So you can see it's bubbling over there quite nicely. Okay, so I'm going to put those taters in, and I'm going to go ahead and throw in my first bunches of seasoning here, and then I'll stir this in. Like I say, I like to do the taters about halfway through or maybe a little bit beyond the total cooking time. Doing lots of oregano now. I love oregano. Do lots of oregano, boom, boom, boom. I'm probably going to pause again when I'm done here and cut up the cilantro and put that in as well. Get that starting to steep. See again, garlic powder. I don't know how well this is going to show on the video, but do a fair amount of garlic powder there. And I will always fine-tune the seasonings after it's more or less fully cooked. Okay, so you take your spoon and you want to stir this in carefully. This is kind of hard for me to do. I'm trying to not make a mess with this and yet look at the viewfinder at the same time. Keep getting my damn fingers in the picture here. But as you can see, it's starting to turn out nicely. You can see I'll go ahead and do a shot here in a second. Once I get the taters stirred in, since I got all the seasonings on top of the taters there. There we go, there's a nice view. So you can see how nice the stock is right there. And you can see the overall, now you can kind of get a feel for the overall mix here. The meat is still pretty much at the bottom. There's a couple chunks here near the top from when I stirred it earlier. There you go, there's a piece right there. So once again, I prefer that the meat stays near the bottom as much as possible so it can slow cook as long as possible, because that's how the meat gets nice and tender. It gets infused with the taste of the overall stew. As you can see, that's looking pretty damn good right now. I can tell you right now, just by the smell and by the texture of it, while I was stirring it, the cabbage isn't quite ready. All right, I'm going to prepare some cilantro. We'll put that in last and then call this good. Okay, back again. Here's my chopped cilantro. I say there are people who really like cilantro like me. There's people who hate it. Some people say it tastes terrible. I think it is an acquired taste. Okay, now this is going to be tricky. I try to get all the cilantro off the cutting board into the pot. Very interesting camera view here. This is where an extra set of hands would come in handy, pardon the pun. Okay, into the sink it goes. You can see I still have all my leavenings that need to. Now the cilantro, what I prefer to do with it is do exactly what I just did here. I leave it on the top and don't mix it in until later. I gave the full instructions in the last video in terms of the total ingredients list and the actual cooking instructions. Those are in the description of the other video. I'll go ahead and hold this shot while I finish this video out. Anyway, so ideally, like I say, you want to cook for a minimum of 4 hours, an absolute minimum of 4 hours. It's better if it goes about 8, especially on the low setting. You want to make sure that the carrots are just firm and not mushy. You want to make sure that the potatoes, and again, the reason why I add them about halfway through or later in the cycle is so that they don't get turned into a complete and total mush. You also don't want to get carried away stirring this. I stirred it once earlier to see if it had settled enough for the potatoes, and it really hadn't. And when I came back and looked through the lid, I could see that it is pretty well settled down to the point where I could go ahead and add the potatoes and cilantro and seasonings at this time. So now it is going to be ignored for the next 3 to 4 hours to just allow it to cook. And by the time I come back at that end of that 3 to 4 hours, what I should have is a nicely cooked mix. Again, I could feel that the cabbage was still raw. The cabbage also, you want it soft but not mushy, and it will give you a great flavor. Like I mentioned, if you overstir it or overcook it, the stock becomes very milky looking. The cabbage really breaks down, and it looks horrible, actually, honestly. I used to overcook it a lot until I finally got the technique. And especially, this is another reason why I use a slow cooker, because the crock pot, because I'm less likely to overcook. But if you overcook it, it's going to look bad. You know, somebody once told me it looks like sewer water. And sadly, but that's what it does look like if you overcook it. But it is still good. It still tastes just fine, but it's just not, you know, as visually appealing. You know, the way I chop that cilantro up, and the reason I'm kind of glad I don't have a hand to show you how I do my chopping technique. I could just picture Gordon Ramsay, you donkey! Because I am not a culinary chef here. I'm just an average guy, single guy who cooks at home. So anyway, all right, this video is going to run too long if I keep yapping. So that's it for the stew. Hope you enjoy my recipe. If you do, leave a note in the comments. I'd like to hear from people who've cooked it according to my recipe. I'd like to hear of any changes or additions you'd like to add to it, or subtractions, you know, anything you'd like to change in how I make it. And, you know, let me know what you think. And hopefully in the future I will do my spaghetti sauce, my homemade spaghetti sauce. I haven't made it in a long, long time. I only recently got a decent stovetop. I'm going to swing around and show you. This house has been under renovation. I do not have a complete kitchen. There's going to be a window where those cinder blocks are. As you can see, I just put enough drywall around the wall so it wouldn't set the insulation on fire. Here, the wall's unfinished. There's my stovetop that I just got in a nice LG range. But yeah, the whole place is basically half finished, unfinished. Plumbing chaseway up here on the top. Plumbing and electrical chaseway. The other half of the room is going to be, there's where this set of pantry shelves are right now. It's going to be just a countertop. And, you know, a top there for me to be able to fold laundry and stuff on, because this is my laundry section part of the house there. There's Turbo, the Wonder Cat, who loves to be in the videos as well. But yeah, as you can see, the place is not finished. The kitchen is not finished. The only counter I've got is right there where the sink is. So I'm working on very limited space and facilities here right now. Hopefully it'll all be nice when it's finished though. And once again, it started raining outside. The storm in this case is staying more or less to the south of us there. To the north, well, it looks like it's building back up again to do some more rain here from the north. As you can see by the window, we just had a spate of rain hit us, but it looks like it's building up to do more. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the videos and the cooking. And like I say, leave comments, let me know what you think, and let me know what you think of the recipe too.